Hello, this is Shankar Rahul, and today I'm going to talk about some predictive techniques. Uh, they are based on my experience. They are random. They can be used, but do try them and let me know. And give me your comments on my mobile 98187 33000. 98187 33000. That's the number where you can always WhatsApp or message to me, and I would read them, and we could have an interaction if they're interesting. Now, the planet which I'm going to discuss today is Mercury. Mercury is a very, very important planet, and I'm going to, considering that the span, people have to look at the videos about 8 to 10 minutes. So I mean, that's the maximum span people have because that's how we are today. We are people in hurry. We are not governed by ourselves. We are governed by machinery, and Mercury is all about that. Mercury is a very important planet, and people have ridiculed it that it gives the effect of the planet where it is sitting. It has no अस्तित्व ऑफ इट्स ओन अपना कोई पहचान नहीं है बुध की मगर ऐसा है नहीं 17 साल a period is given to Vamshotri in Budh, and Mercury is a very important planet. Mercury is like Rahu. Mercury gets all its work and most of the negative work done by Rahu. The agent of Mercury is Rahu. Rahu executes the work of Mercury. So if you look at Mercury, you will see the negatives of Mercury are executed by Rahu. And Rahu is the executioner, is the worker for Mercury. So remember that. That's very important. And that I have seen in most of the cases. Mercury generally is good from the first to sixth house. Exceptions are there, I'll explain it to you. But never good in the ninth, 11th, and 12th house. These are the worst houses for Mercury. The ninth, 11th, and 12th house. Mercury placed here will not do well. Now, Mercury is like open, anything which is open. Akash, it is open. Any space which is open is Mercury. Big field grounds are Mercury. I mean, so Mercury is generally a very important planet. So Mercury, I feel, is not very good in at least three houses. Third, sixth, eighth, and 12th. Leave aside sixth. Sixth has a caveat, but it's not good for third, eighth, and 12th house. Mercury in the third house will only be good if Mars is well placed, because it is the third house, the planet which the energy of in which the third house has is of Mars. Mars has got the maximum energy there. So depending on Mars, the Mercury will act. If Mars is not good, Mercury will act in a very negative way. If Mars is debilitated, it's the sixth house, it is in sixth, eighth, or 12th from Mercury itself, then it is going to be a very bad period. Mars is a very important planet. It is Mangal, and without Mangal, without Mars, horoscope, I at least do not see much, because the Mars has to be strongly placed and well placed for a person to come up well. The headquarters of Mars is not only the third house, it's also the eighth house. So you will find some billionaires, some millionaires having Mars in eighth house. It has other impacts, but it is good for non-life things like wealth, your strength, your energy, and as it is said that if you put your mind and your efforts together, I mean karma and the strength you have, you can achieve everything. So that's what Mercury does, and Mercury can also make you a person who only thinks negatively. So Mercury in the third house, if Mars is not well placed, is very dangerous. Is very dangerous, and can be only good when Mars is placed well. Mercury will also do well in the third house. Exceptionally, is when Venus is in the 11th house, because third and 11th house have a connection. Mercury may also do very well when Jupiter is in the ninth house, because then Jupiter, controls Mercury to some extent. Mercury is intellect, and Jupiter is like wisdom. Mercury is like a small boy. It can give you millions. It can take off millions from you. It can take you. It can slap you from the back. It can hit you from the back. It can give you something. Then by the time you reach your gate, it may just go and snatch. It may give you something and then drop a stone from the top. So Mercury is a planet which has to be seen very properly. Mercury in 8th house is not very good. If it is alone, I'm talking about Mercury being alone, 8th house irrespective of the Rashi. Mercury in 12th house, irrespective of the Rashi, is not good. It will give you not only problems for yourself, but also it will also give you problems for your daughter, for your father's sisters, and also for your mother's sisters. So father sisters, mother sisters, and to some extent your daughter, when Mercury is the 12th house. Mercury in the 8th house will never be good for a lot of things like a nervous system, for your health, for your family issues. Mercury in 8th house just spoils those things. Generally, I've seen Mercury, wherever house it is placed, it reduces the kartatva, the positive effects of the house where it is placed. Mercury is very good and excellent when Mercury is placed alone in the 4th house. It's a par excellent thing to have Mercury alone in the 4th house. But when Mercury is in the 4th house with planets like Moon, Jupiter, it's inimical planets, it is going to be a very negativity. Mercury in the 2nd house also is not very good. It creates problems for your family life. It may give you money. So, you have to see Mercury like that. Mercury in the 6th house is good, but if, it reduces the impact of Ketu. Mercury, if in 6th house is there, it will reduce the impact of Ketu. And Ketu for me is a very important planet. General happiness is dependent on Ketu. Ketu is the flag. Ketu gives you a lot of things. Ketu makes you to understand. Ketu is intellect. Ketu is for general happiness. Ketu is for children. So we don't understand Ketu, but Ketu is a karmic planet which is very, very important and a positive planet. It's like a Jupiter. It is the chela of Jupiter. The Guru is Jupiter. It is the chela of Jupiter. So Mercury in 6th house will behave like, in a way, it's like that. Mercury in 7th house will do well, but it should not be aspected by Moon from the Lagna, or it should not be aspected by inimical planets. The planets which are inimical to it should not be there. When I talk about inimical planets, I also say 5th, 9th, 7th, you have to see the 6th house, the 8th house, the planet placed the 12th house. So you have to see all these planets when you talk about, when you consider Mercury in any house or any planet as such in any house. A very important rule which I would like to tell you today is that when Mercury is placed in the 9th house, or the dispositor of Mercury is placed in the 9th house, it shows Pitradosh. It shows Pitradosh is nothing but that you perform some karmas with your ancestors. Along with your ancestors, you are apart by your brain, by your mind, by succumbing to it, by agreeing to it in some way or the other, who have done bad deeds. So it's a Pitradosh. So that will travel. So Mercury, if in any house, and its depositor is placed in the 9th house, causes Pitradosh. And I've seen it. Mercury in 9th house is also not very good. It is extremely bad. It spoils the married life. It spoils your fortune. It spoils your, what teaching you get, what is your value and ethics systems which you have. And this is, I'm talking about Mercury alone. So that is Mercury in 9th house, what it does. The Mercury generally is, 10th house Mercury would be very good when it is with, it depends on the position of Saturn. If Mercury is the 10th house and Saturn is the 7th house, which is the exaltation sign of 7th house. Forget Rashi for a moment. 7th house is the exaltation house of Saturn. Mercury will give you tons of money and millions of money. Mercury in 7th house with Sun and with other planets also can do very good. Mercury with Sun combines to make Mars. It gives the impact of Mars. Mercury with Ketu will also help you in life, non-life things. That is money. Mercury with Venus similarly will also help you in giving you money. So Mercury that way in 7th house, depending on which planets it is conjuncting with, it will have an impact, because the planets in the 7th house are subservient to the planet in the ascendant. The Lagna is the king. The king is governed by the ministers. Now, if the king is, suppose Rahu is the king in their 1st house, and Rahu in 1st house is generally good for Kali Yuga, because the person is not what he is. He shows something else, but he is something else. He's clear about his ambitions, but he'll never tell you about his ambitions, which is very good. Bhagavad Gita says that Don't tell your big ambitions to people because that's not right. So, Rahu in the Lagna is very good. Lord Krishna has said that. See, if you have big ambitions, big goals, you need not tell people about those big goals to anybody, that they're just yours. Keep things to yourself, work for your goal, don't get near to people, be away from people. Rahu tells you about karma, doing good things, doing action, and Rahu can do it. So depending on Rahu placed in Lagna, it is very good, but it is a planet of illusion. It will just make a person, be careful, Rahu, whenever it is in Lagna, in alone, the person, portrayal of the projection of the person outside may not be exactly the same. He may portray himself to be very nice, very good, very noble person, but it could be just the opposite. So that is what Rahu Lagna does, but it is very good for wealth. It is the king. Suppose Rahu is in Lagna, it is the king. The planet is the 7th house, the ministers. If you have a lot of good ministers in the 7th house which support Rahu, it makes the billionaires, the millionaires, the politicians of today. So that's how you have to analyze the planetary position. 4th house is extremely important because that is where you get, it is the house of your mother. So that is where the rainfall happens. That is where you get things. So you have to see it in a particular way. I can go on and on Mercury. I can perhaps write a book on Mercury. It's the most important, the most interesting planet, which creates a lot of good things, bad and ugly things, and extremes. So Mercury, please do not disrupt it. Please do not ignore it. Sorry, because it is important, and I have told you some tips which are very important. That it is not good in 3rd, 8th, and 12th. Extremely bad 8th and 12th. I talked to you about 9th. I've talked to you about 10th. The conditions, Saturn should be very good. Mercury is a good friend of Venus. So Mercury and Venus together also can help you in a lot of things, in a lot of activities, especially things counted by Venus. Venus is always something with a show. I mean, a diamond is Venus because it is like coal and it goes to a lot of things and then it becomes a diamond. So it's not actually the diamond you're seeing, it's a coal which has become the diamond. So, Venus is something which is polished and shown, and that applies for commodities, and it applies to religious leaders, it applies to politicians, it applies to me, it applies to business people. So that is what Venus shows. Venus is also a ruler of today's Kali Yuga. So that is all. That is how you have to see, and Mercury and Venus together form a very formidable combination. But you have to see which are the planets in the 6th, 8th, and 12th, 26th and of Mercury and Venus, and how they interact with that planet. That you should never forget. These are basic other rules, which are the parts of Brihmanadi system. It's already 12 minutes. I would end the video. 9818733000 is my number. You can write to me there. And thanks for listening to me. This is Shankar signing out. Thank you very much. I would, in my next video, so that I make it, I would talk more about some planets and some misnomers and certain research which I have done, which would help people. I'm not saying it would be right. Try it out, and that is why I say write it down. Write it down. I only want to have intellectual discussions on Mercury. I will not predict about people. I will not predict about what is, you should give your date of birth, place and time. Purely because I do not have time. And also I would, reduce my karmic account, which I have, if you do that. So astrology is like a science, it's like a passion for me, it's my religion, so I do it in that way. With this, I end my video. Thanks, bye for now. Thank you very much.